Can you please confirm when we are live? Okay, yes, I will.
You can take your.
Okay. Nityananda Prabhu, you start, okay?
Ready? Okay, wonderful. Hare Krishna, welcome everybody to today's third Zoom session for this year for Srila Gurudev's 80th Vyas Puja. Before I do the invocation, the purpose of this program is that it is a series for
Something different.
80th Vyas Puja.
It's not yet.
And today's theme is pioneering independent Grhastha communities. So this is from month to month, we will be doing this program. So different areas of the world can tune in. This is more like the US streaming. We did prior to this, the Fiji streaming in the previous month. And we'll go through different zones so that everybody has an opportunity to speak and view whatever is happening. So I'm going to start with the invocation prayers. Om Jnana Timirantasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshuran Militam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Nama Om Vishnupadaya Krishna Prishtaya Bhutale Srimate Tamal Krishna Goswami Niti Namine. Nama Om Vishnupadaya Krishna Prishtaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swami Niti Namine. Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvisheshishanyavadi Paschat Deshatarine. Jai Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shivas Adigaur Bhakta Brinda. Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare. Again, welcome everybody. Normally at this time we play a class excerpt of around 15 minutes spoken by Srila Gurudev. But today we're going to do something different, and that is that we're going to read from Servant of the Servant, and Mother Rati Manjari will do the honors. And are you sharing that with Jivananda Prabhu as well, Mother Rati Manjari?
Prabhu, do you have a copy of the book available, Jivananda Prabhu?
No, we didn't ask him. So
I do, but it's somewhere else. I'm not sure where it is right now.
Okay.
So you go ahead, Mother Rati Manjari, and just do the honors.
All right.
Thank you very much. So we'll
Okay.
hear from Mother Rati Manjari about Servant of the Servant, and then after that I'll introduce Jivananda Prabhu, and then Jivananda Prabhu will enlighten us. Thank you all very much.
Jai.
Hare Krishna.
Jai Srila Gurudev.
Jai Shri.
Yeah, because we are, of course, all over the world celebrating Easter. And Easter Sunday was the day that Srila Gurudev received his initiation from Srila Prabhupada many years ago. So I'd like to read shortly before his initiation and then the initiation. It's not that long. It's about 3 pages. I'll
Okay,
try to read it in an enlivened way. Maybe everyone can mute, just for the sounds. I keep hearing some sounds. Maturana Prabhu, would you mind?
Yeah, I'm muted. I thought.
Just to mute for now. Okay, so Srila Gurudev is writing. My attachment for Prabhupada grew daily. For the first time in my life, I had found someone whom I could trust completely without any reservations. Someone who cared for me more than I could care for myself. I felt so satisfied to be connected with Srila Prabhupada. Sometimes I would spend an entire afternoon sitting on the steps of his apartment building just to be near him. Though there was a little chance that I would get to see him, I would imagine what he must be doing in his apartment. Occasionally, one of his servants would come out on an errand, and seeing my eagerness, spend a few minutes relating some of Srila Prabhupada's intimate activities. Wanting to keep closely sheltered, I would chant many rounds, sitting on his apartment steps. It felt so wonderful to be completely under Prabhupada's protection. By the association of the pure devotee, I was being propelled forward on the path of spiritual life. I was chanting 16 rounds, austerely living as a brahmachari, following the regulative principles, always attending classes, and trying to render service in whatever way I was asked, but I was not yet initiated. Initiation meant a lifetime commitment, a final severing of all material connections with old memories, past friendships, and mundane relationships. It meant my accepting the spiritual master as my eternal father. The Vedic teachings as my mother and the devotees as my family. Initiation would establish my actual connection with Krishna. I had no doubt that Srila Prabhupada was a bona fide spiritual master, qualified to take me back to Godhead. He was in an unbroken line of disciplic succession from Krishna himself. He was in perfect knowledge of the Shastra and never spoke anything that did not agree with Vedic conclusions. His actions were above suspicion. Prabhupada was Krishna's pure devotee, and I was ready to surrender my body, mind, and words to him. I had very little idea who Krishna was, but I was certain that Prabhupada had an intimate relationship with Krishna, and that by pleasing him, I might one day also be able to please Krishna. The devotees told me that after initiation, the Hare Krishna mantra is more powerful. At the time of initiation, the Guru takes all of the resultant actions of the disciple's past sinful life. To have a bona fide spiritual master was an absolute necessity if one hoped to make advancement and end the cycle of repeated birth and death. Although Mark and I had been living in the temple less than a month, Prabhupada decided that we should receive initiation without waiting any longer. It was Easter Sunday. After his morning walk at Stowe Lake, Prabhupada returned directly to the temple instead of proceeding to his apartment as was his normal habit. He entered the small storefront's double doors amid the excitement of the devotees, who were busily completing the final arrangements for the initiation ceremony. Everyone enjoyed initiations. When they would formally welcome new members into their spiritual family. Prabhupada walked to the rear of the temple room and offered his obeisances at the altar of Lord Jagannath. Then he turned around and walked a few steps to a cushioned seat which had been arranged before the raised mound of earth where the fire sacrifice would take place. Sitting in a meditative, sober mood, he began to play his kartals, singing prayers to the disciplic succession, Lord Chaitanya and Radha Krishna. Vishnu Jan means one who serves the devotees of the Lord, Srila Prabhupada said, handing Mark his beads. And then, looking directly in my eyes, Prabhupada asked, what are our principles? No meat, fish, or eggs, no intoxication, no gambling, and no illicit sex. I felt very close to Prabhupada. He was accepting me as his eternal son and disciple, and his look was that of a most loving father. Your name is Tamal Krishna. Tamal is the name of a tree that grows in Vrindavan. Because it is the same color as Krishna, the gopis, out of separation, sometimes mistake the tree to be Krishna himself. Especially Srimati Radharani would embrace the Tamal tree and always take rest underneath it whenever she was feeling separation from Krishna. All of the devotees cheered. They were happy to have two new godbrothers, and they liked the names that Prabhupada had given. Srila Prabhupada was leaving for New York. There had been hardly any time for me to relish the pleasure of being his initiated disciple, and now already he was leaving. I could not imagine what it would be like without Srila Prabhupada personally present in San Francisco. The devotees said that service in separation was more intense and one felt closer than ever to his spiritual master. It was a chance to make more advancement, to perfect one's service for the next meeting, but all I could think of was that I didn't want Srila Prabhupada to leave. I was still too new a devotee, and I wanted this association more than anything. As Prabhupada sat in the airport, the devotees chanted Hare Krishna. The chanting was different from when we were in the temple. The mood was one of expectant separation. I kept looking at Srila Prabhupada's face, trying to imprint the vision deep within my heart, so that it would remain there in the months to come. I never wanted to forget Srila Prabhupada. Then Prabhupada suddenly rose and with his servants moved forward toward the boarding gate. We all followed behind, continuing to chant Hare Krishna. As Prabhupada reached the gate, he turned around and raising his arm to acknowledge the devotees' prayers, he proceeded to board the plane. I rushed toward the partition and pressed my face against the glass, trying to catch a last glimpse of Srila Prabhupada through the small round windows of the jet. As the plane began its slow movement toward the runway, I kept my face pressed against the glass. I remembered hearing how the gopis, on seeing Krishna leaving Vrindavan, felt their hearts breaking out of separation. They had stood as if petrified, watching Krishna leave, unable to take their eyes away, even when only the dust of the chariot remained. I also felt my heart choked from missing Prabhupada. I could not take my eyes away as I watched the plane ascend into the air and disappear through the clouds, leaving only a misty trail. Srila Gurudev ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai.
Thank you,
So-
Manjari Prabhu.
Jai.
So now I will introduce Jivananda Prabhu. So His Grace Jivananda Prabhu is a disciple of Srila A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada, the founder Acharya of ISKCON. He has been practicing Bhakti Yoga since 1973. He is a renounced Vaishnava monk, an initiating Diksha Guru, a student in the ancient teachings of Vedic literatures, and an effective spiritual/personal counselor. Thank you so very much, Jivananda Prabhu, for joining us. Please enlighten us.
Well, thank you so much. I'm so glad that I could make this appointment. I've been so busy since I got back to the United States. So many things are happening. It's like they were waiting for 5 months to spring so much on me. But I finally got the time to meet with you, and I'm really happy for that. So I think the theme that you said is today is how the concept of the independent Grhastha community came about.
Yes.
So, to the best of my remembering ability, which I don't know how good that is, this first started in a conversation in 1975 in Chicago with Srila Gurudev. We were talking, we had just met, and being the type of person who's always interested in other people, he was asking many personal questions, wanting to get to know me. And he found out I was in business and Grhastha independent, and I just happened to mention to him that from what I was observing, it seemed like the current theme of ISKCON at the time was not sustainable, meaning that at that time, basically, you had brahmacharis were doing the collecting of funds and supporting. There were many grihastas as well, but mostly it seemed like it was the brahmacharis who were distributing the books and bringing in the Lakshmi. And I said, I don't see how I think that's very wonderful for now, but I don't see how that can be sustainable going into the future.
Mm.
And he right away looked at me. He had a very funny look on his face. I didn't know if I had offended him or not, but he looked deep into my eyes and said, "What do you mean?" Well, I just look around at the world around us. Everybody else has independent grihastas. They go earn money and they tithe to the temple. And the monks and the nuns, they're pretty much supported by the rest of the organization. And so I really think that someday we need to perhaps see if we can get to that level. And so he agreed very much, and we discussed this. I was just thinking out loud. This wasn't a mission of mine. It was just something I was just making conversation, my observation. So anyway, he said, this is very wonderful. And he actually discussed it with Srila Prabhupada. And Srila Prabhupada, according to TKG, pounded on his desk and said, yes, this is the future of our movement. And we have to see this. We have to go in that direction. And so, but he told Gurudev that, you, Tamal Krishna Maharaj, you can't do this because you don't know anything about independent grihastas. You don't know businessmen. You don't know business. So he is going to have to do it, meaning me. He let him do it. And so you continue doing what you're doing. Don't deviate from your service, but let him get out there and see what he can do. And so that was the discussion that we had. And we visited that a couple of times later on. And not too awfully long after that, I can't remember when, maybe Maturanath, maybe you can remember when we got together. Maturanath was in business also. He lived in Nashville, Tennessee. I lived in Knoxville, Tennessee. And he was in town for a convention. We were friends. And he was visiting Knoxville for a convention. And after the convention, we got together at my house and started talking about Krishna consciousness. And Maturanath became a devotee right there on the spot. And so,
what did you tell him?
Huh?
How did you make him a devotee on the spot?
Well, we were sitting talking. He looked over my shoulder, and I had like a bookcase full of Srila Prabhupada's books, Chaitanya Charitamrita and Srimad Bhagavatam. And
But
so,
Jivananda, the way I actually met, I'm sorry to interrupt, but the way I actually met you was that we were both at this convention and we both had booths there, and we were standing in line for take lunch, and they had a big buffet and they had all these meats out, and I was standing right behind you. I'd never met you before, and you were just putting bread and cheese and tomato on your plate. And I asked you, I said, why aren't you getting any meat? And you said, you're a vegetarian. And I'd never met a vegetarian before. And I said, why? And then you started telling me about Srila Prabhupada. And then after that, we got together at your house, and then you would, you were the first one to ever tell me about Krishna. And I'll never forget that meeting, that time how we met like that. It was, I don't know, you call it destiny or whatever, but it was your mercy on me, and I really appreciate it. I'll never forget it.
I'm remembering that now. You were asking, why don't you, aren't you going to put any meat? We had these sandwiches that they had very nice selection of various meats, all kinds of vegetable trimmings and some nice breads. And so I was putting some vegetables and tomatoes and lettuce and things on my bread. That was going to be the meal, which I was perfectly fine with. And Maturanath, he did say, how come you're not putting any of this meat on there? So, and then, so anyway, we wound up at my house later on. And he asked me, he looked at my books and he said, "What are these books?" And I said, "Those are Krishna books. Those are my Krishna books." And he said, "Well, what are those?" And we ended up staying up, I think, till 4 o'clock in the morning, talking Krishna consciousness, Krishna Katha. Yeah. Is that the way you remember it, Maternath? I mean, it's a long time ago. It's kind of hard for me to remember clearly.
Yeah, that's the way I remember it. And then after that, we just became like best friends. And you would come and stay at my house when you came to Nashville. And then when I came to Knoxville, I'd spend most of my time over at your house, and we would just talk about Krishna all day. Yeah, it was really nice. Nice memories.
It was such a delight to have somebody at that time that I could discuss Krishna philosophy, Krishna Katha with, talk about Srila Prabhupada and our movement. It was very wonderful. So whenever Maturanath and I got together, regardless of whatever we were doing, we would definitely be involved deep in so many Krishna pastimes, Krishna Katha, Prabhupada Katha, so much. So I'm indebted to you to give me someone to talk to and to talk back. And he introduced this Krishna consciousness philosophy to his next door neighbor, who was a manager of some railroad at the time. Is now Radhanath.
He's on too. He's on the
Yeah.
program.
Yeah. Oh, Radhanath, are you there? Oh, there he is. Yeah. Hare Krishna, Radhanath Prabhu. Dandawat pranams. And so when I went to Nashville on business, I would stay at Maturanath's house, and we would meet with Radhanath and his family, and we would cook and have kirtan and Krishna Katha. Later on, I met up with Rupanuga Prabhu. He was an engineer up at the Oak Ridge National Laboratory. Electrical engineer, Maturanath or Rupanuga Prabhu. What kind of engineer were you?
Yes, I was electrical engineer, because that was, we called ourselves facility engineering design.
Yeah.
In other words, we were doing all the work for the PhDs in nuclear engineering, nuclear physics at that place. I was not one of them. I was just the humble servant.
Training to be humble servant.
Are we okay in terms of audio? Because we are recording and people from all nationalities will. Is it loud enough? What do you all think? Ananya is for.
Yes, sir.
Coming through very clear to me here.
It is clear much.
Sorry?
It's
Again?
clear.
It is clear.
Clear enough? Okay. Hopefully.
I'm thinking if Rupanuga can hear us well at his age, then anybody could hear us.
I'm wearing my hearing aid for
Haribol. All right. So it seems like different persons were coming together and becoming devotees and staying devotees, because some of them are here on the call and you've been devotees for decades. So there was like a tribe forming. Is that right?
Yeah, we were getting. Krishna was bringing us all together. We were sharing some time together. And so from time to time, I would speak with Goswami Maharaj, Srila Gurudev. I would talk to him. We call from time to time. He spent most of his time in those days in New York.
Excuse me, to be a spoil sport here, but can you mute yourself again, Rupanuga Prabhu? Because, yeah, thank you. There was some sound coming. Yes, please continue. Yeah, you were speaking to Goswami Maharaj? Yeah.
Yeah. He says, how is this independent Grhastha preaching going? And we weren't especially just looking for just anybody that's married. We were looking for people who were middle-class Americans that had jobs and families, and that's what we were looking for. So I told him about these three. I said, "But let me tell you about these guys that Krishna has sent my way."
Mm.
And so I started to describe them in great detail. And he said, "Well, all right, so things aren't going so well right now. Keep hunting. Maybe Krishna will send some really nice people." That was supposed to be funny, but I thought it was
Yeah, I
funny.
know.
Yeah, I mean, I was
That
more
shocked
than
us. So it was
smiling.
shocking. So that's why nobody laughed.
I thought it
need a
was funny
sign.
giving them.
I need a sign to hold up when it's time to laugh. Just
Yeah,
hold up my.
exactly.
Yeah, you
Give a
maybe
sign.
good idea.
Maybe in another 20 years, you young people will figure out this old man's humor. So
But did Sheila Gurudev actually say that? Or that's your humor?
I'm just kidding. He said this. He
Okay.
was very excited. He said this is very
Okay.
wonderful,
All right.
and I think he got to meet Maturanoff. He was the first one of that trilogy, other than me, that he met, and that was at New York Rath Yatra in 1976, if I remember correctly. Is that correct, Maturanoff?
Unmuting.
Yeah, actually, Jivananda Prabhu, I saw him, during the Rath Yatra, and but I never actually got to spend any time with him then. And then later on, many like Balavanta and so many devotees from Giridhari would come through. And but when Srila Gurudev came, I think he came to your house first, and then he came to my house, and that's when he told us, that he wanted us to move to Dallas. So that's kind of the way I remember it.
Yeah. That was after Srila Prabhupada left.
Yes.
We kind of visited this from time to time, but everybody's lives were very busy. His life was very busy, and then Srila Prabhupada became very ill, and Srila Gurudev spent a lot of time, almost a year, I think, at Prabhupada's side in Vrindavan up until he departed in November 1977. So uh, after Prabhupada left, he came back to America after some time, and I met him in New York City. And he said, I think now's the time that we get serious about this independent Grhastha community. And so that's when he decided to come and visit all of us in Tennessee. So he came down to. I was living in Chattanooga at the time, and I still had a house that I was in the process of moving back into in Knoxville. So I can't remember exactly how it happened. I think I had both houses operational. Anyway, he visited in Chattanooga, or no, I think it was Knoxville first, and then we went to Chattanooga, and then he went up to Nashville, as far as I can remember, and he ended up meeting all of these wonderful devotees and their families. And so it was at that time that he said, "Now let's start making this work." So everyone, I mean, he wasn't really asking much. He was just saying, "Quit your job, sell your house, and move halfway across the United States to a whole new town."
Yeah.
But
How was that? How did you all take that? It's quite
well,
a radical move
it,
here.
it wasn't what we were looking to hear. We were all thinking that we were just going to stay put and keep on doing what we're doing. We had
Sure.
programs going at our houses, and people were coming. Some people were actually joining, and so we thought that should be good enough. But he had another plan. He wanted us to all assemble in Dallas. He had just been rewarded that zone because when he left, when Prabhupada, I was there when the message came. For Prabhupada said he wanted him by his side. He wanted to, because he knew that Goswami Maharaj would do exactly as Prabhupada did, as Prabhupada had instructed him to do. And Prabhupada was very serious about not going to any hospital or, he didn't want to be kept on life support with tubes coming out of his body. And he told Tamal Krishna Maharaj that this is my desire, and gave him the order. Make sure, under no circumstances are you to allow that to happen. And Prabhupada knew others will try to persuade you into sending me to the hospital, and you can't let that happen. And so my point is that when Prabhupada called him, even though he had a lot of service going on in North America, and was a very important service. He was in charge of the Radha Damodar Traveling Sankirtan Party.
Right.
They managed the Gitanagari Farm, the New York Temple that was on Manhattan at the time. It was on 55th Street between 8th and 9th Avenue. And so much else. He had his hands here and there, and so, but he when he heard that Prabhupada wanted him, he dropped everything, and he just packed a quick bag and got on a plane and left it all, and just said to everyone as he was leaving, "You figure it out, figure out who's going to cover what bases." And he was gone. I mean, he was gone so fast, and he was there with Prabhupada for a long time. So when Prabhupada left, all of his services had been taken over by others. And he didn't really have anything left. He didn't have his own. He had renounced it. He just left everything and went to stay with Srila Prabhupada. And so the GBC decided that we've got to give him a zone. He's got, this is one of our most potent preachers, and we've got to engage him. We've got to give him a place. And so that's when they sliced out the middle of the United States from Chicago, Illinois, that area up there, the Midwest, all the way down to through Texas. And he made the headquarters in Dallas. Satsarup Maharaj was in Dallas at the time, but he and his entourage moved up to Gitanagari. And when they left Dallas, they left two people. They were just Pujaris. Divya Ganananda and his wife Divya Shakti were the only ones left. Everyone else in the community was gone. Dallas was like an empty place except for those couple of devotees and the Radha Damodar. So most of the Radha Damodar Traveling Sankirtan Party was there, and they were coming and going. So anyway, he wanted us to move there, and let's start it off in the right way. Get the independent Grhasthas here and let them work and do their service and be devotees. And others will follow. If they see you doing this, they will follow. He was absolutely right.
They were what? They were?
He was
Follow?
absolutely correct. The rest of the world did follow when they observed these Grihastha families working independently and still being important devotees. So sometimes before this, many folks would think that they wouldn't take if someone worked outside a Grihastha, they weren't taken as seriously as devotees as those who lived in the temple.
That was Maya.
Yeah, you're in Maya. You're just in it for sense gratification. And so no matter how hard he preached against that, some people still clung to that, but then that's natural because that had been the reality that people had shared or just their perceived reality for so long. But we started to demonstrate, no, this is the next step in the maturing of our International Society for Krishna Consciousness, and that Srila Prabhupada was 100% behind this. So, so anyway, we all assembled down there and took up various services and got jobs and started to be, as Srila Gurudev said, the pillars of the community. He said the four pillars of the community are you guys. And so, and he said that, so up until the end, he said he would say that from time to time. So there for a while, it went kind of unnoticed, but it started to get noticed around different parts of the movement. And some people in other zones, other zonal leaders, were not very enchanted with the idea of their devotees living outside the temple and having jobs and being in Maya.
Was that where the term blooped came out? When they would say blooped devotees, they would say blooped devotees. Was that where the word bloop came out? Blooped devotees. Yeah, bloop devotees.
No, that came from 26 Second Avenue.
Oh, that was 26 Second Avenue. Okay.
When Prabhupada was talking with Brahmananda Prabhu, and Brahmananda Prabhupada had asked, where is this devotee and where is that devotee? And Brahmananda said, well, they've left Prabhupada. And Prabhupada said they fell back into the material ocean. And Brahmananda made the sound bloop, bloop.
Yeah.
And that's how it got started. Then if anybody left, you were considered blooped. You made that bloop sound when you hit the material ocean. So we weren't considered blooped.
Okay.
We were just second or third class devotees because we had an independent life. We lived outside, and so other leaders, many of them, or some of them, I don't know how many. He never shared that with me, but he started to tell me that he's getting a lot of flack, a lot of static from many leaders in around the world in the GBC. They did not like this. Some of them did. Some of them didn't. And some of them were making a big scene about, wow, we don't want this to happen. And so at one point, the GBC decided against it. They tried to talk everybody out of it. And they tried to talk him out of it. And he tried his best to acquiesce, but I don't remember exactly how the story went, but at some point he changed his mind and said, no, we're going to go forward with this. This is the future of our movement. And so, but, it wasn't welcomed by open arms by the powers that be in our
Did the
history.
GBC at the time know that Srila Prabhupada had approved this? Did they know that Prabhupada had approved this?
He told them the story, Prabhupada approved this.
Yeah.
And they were saying, I don't remember the exact conversation. Basically, it might have been something like, yeah, but that's not for now. Later on.
Kick the
Let
can
us
down the road.
evolve to that. But this is premature. They just couldn't imagine all of these Grhasthas having something separate. And so that just had to be mine.
Yeah.
Plus maybe there's a little, they felt a little challenged and losing some direct control.
Right.
If I've got you living in the house and I'm feeding you and clothing you and giving you shelter, then you'll have to show up for the arti.
Yeah.
Prabhu, did you ever feel that Srila Gurudev got frustrated by all these backlash and obstacles in this very important, phase of our movement.
He was not one to easily get frustrated.
Mm.
When he focused on a goal, his objective was to achieve the goal. Unless you could honestly prove him wrong,
Right.
he's going to go forward 100%. That's just the way he was. Some
So he
people think,
never confided in you like, oh man, like how we're gonna do this or something. Or did he?
no,
No. He just went forward, but did you feel that he had a certain strategy rather than, I mean, apart from saying it's Prabhupada's desire and, individually coaching devotees to continue, was there a certain like a phase strategy, like first this, then that you ever heard of?
Looks like Jivananda Prabhu's little, he's frozen. Am I the only one seeing him frozen?
Yeah, no, you're right. Jivananda Prabhu? This is really a cliffhanger. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna. I'm gonna send him a message. Otherwise,
One of the other three can
he's
chime in at
out,
the
right?
time.
Yeah.
He
Maybe one of
lost signal. Yeah, he'll come back in again.
someone wants to respond to this who has input or
Yeah.
Maturanath?
Yeah, well, I was just going to say that many things that Srila Gurudev did, the movement considered premature, but then the movement would catch up to it because many times, like taking us out of the airports and other situations where Srila Gurudev was so far ahead of the movement, and he would more or less be criticized for it. But then gradually the whole movement would go that way. So that was just Srila Gurudev's amazing ability to kind of see the future. And Jivananda Prabhu was right, and Radhanath and Rupadev can attest to this, that we were, when we moved into this community, we pulled in, we thought we had pretty much downsized, but we pulled in, we still had big U-Hauls, and everybody thought, here comes Maya into our community. So it took a while.
That's actually pretty heavy, no? I mean, you're already having to deal with the karmis and feeding the family and being, then not feeling a little bit like second class citizen. That must not have always been easy for you all.
Well, I mean, it was tough back then. It was different times back then for sure, because when we came here, as Jivananda Prabhu was saying, it was, you had pretty much all brahmacharis, and anybody that was a householder, with thought like a brahmachari and a brahmacharini. So, they were supported. I think the householders, and Radhanath Prabhu can tell me if this is correct. I think the householders would get $15 a week, and if you weren't a householder, you get like $10. Is that right, Radhanath?
Well, if you were a brahmachari, you didn't get anything. If you were a householder, if you were just married, you got 10. And if you had a child, for each child, you got $5 more.
Wow.
And
This was
and
to
the
live on.
reason that we didn't know much, as I found out much later talking to Sura Prabhu, was we weren't truly welcomed here by the brahmacharis. They just talked about us behind our back, and because they knew that Gurudev asked us to come here. But they were, according to Sura, everybody was actually pretty upset. But one thing that was said earlier that Gurudev did say to us, and I think it was I believe it was in January of '79. Our first visit down here was in '78. And that's when he mentioned the fact that he wanted the Grhastha community. And in '79, he told us that he had made all these brahmacharis, and he understood where he was at that point, that the brahmacharis would not be able to maintain the brahmachari ashram, that they would all have to be married. And so that was one of the reasons he asked us to come here, because we were established Grhastas,
Yeah.
and that would set an example, for anybody who, I mean, that's my recollection of what he told us.
Jivananda Prabhu is back again. Prabhu, you're welcome back.
Welcome,
And we
Prabhu.
got cut off for a little while.
Yeah, my computer shut down for no reason, so I had to
Thanks
I had
for
to
coming back.
Thank you.
Thank you. I was just asking what it was like for the Prabhus to, be labeled the second class citizen. And Maturanath was saying when we would bring our U-Hauls in the street, that's what I understood. Devotees were like, oh, here comes Maya. I mean, it's pretty negative. I mean, maybe funny, huh? But it's still, you have to do so much to establish yourself outside of the temple, and it must not have been easy. So he admitted that was tough.
Well, I think a lot of that came because, I mean, we represented the outside world because we had our own houses and wives and children and jobs. And we owned our own vehicles, and so, but something that contributed to that was the fact that Srila Gurudev spent a lot of his time with us. I mean, a lot. And, my wife would tell me of, maybe gossip's not a good term, but discussions within the community. And some people were criticizing, they felt like we were hogging all of his time because we spent a lot of time with him. And it seemed to most people, and maybe it was true, we spent a lot more time with him than most others did. So,
what would you talk about? I mean, surely Srila Gurudev is not one for small talk and etc. So what were you talking about, more or less? I mean, for example.
What's going on? What are the problems? How do you plan on fixing them? How do you plan on making sure this doesn't happen again? What's wrong with you? Why, Jivananda, are you such an idiot?
Sounds like him.
We had the idiot discussion very often. And so, and it was true. It was just an idiot. If I don't get practical direction, there's no telling what I'll come up with. So, but he meant that when he would call me an idiot, he meant it affectionately, and most of the time it was followed by a big ear-to-ear grin and a laugh, And so I learned early on, one thing he was very good at is teaching you how, he was an excellent trainer. I learned early on not to assume a defensive posture when you've made a mistake. And it's kind of common in the material world. If someone says, "Hey, you did this wrong," no, I didn't. It's your fault, or blame it off on someone else. And he just didn't tolerate that. And so I remember one time he was about to make Radhanath Prabhu. Are you still? Yeah, Radhanath. Radhanath Prabhu will remember this. We were getting ready to go to from Dallas. We were going to go to Houston, and we were going to have a zonal meeting. But before he left, he was interested in making a trip, taking a trip around the world. And so there was a list of cities and countries that he wanted to visit. And so I gave that list to Radhanath and said, hey, check out some prices and see how much this would cost for him to do that. He wanted to see what would be the cost to do this. Do you remember this, Radhanath?
Yeah, I do.
Yeah, I mean, jump in and help me if I leave anything out or if I'm not telling it correctly. But so anyway, I was meeting with him, and Ramnath knocked on the door, and I went to the office door, and Ramnath said, "I found a flight that sounds so good. It's like $1,100 to go all the way around the world." And I had given some proposed dates to Radhanath because the airline wants to know the date of departure, and they need this
Sure.
information. So Radhanath said, "I booked the flight. It was such a good deal, I went ahead and booked it." And so I said, "What? You already booked it?" And then over my shoulder, I hear Srila Gurudev say, "What? You already booked it?" I was upset. And so he started to give me a hard time because he didn't want the flight booked. He was just looking, just testing the water, so to speak. And so, and I just happened to say to him, in my defense, it was a natural reaction. Well, how was I supposed to know that he was going to book it? And boy, that was the wrong thing to say. I think Maturanath was there. You were there, weren't you, Maturanath?
Yeah, but during those times, I always turn into a lamp or something. I don't say
Yeah, I mean,
anything because I know whoever
Maturanath
speaks first is going to get.
Maturanath was so expert. And so Maturanath is sitting over in the room, and as soon as the temperature got up in the room from Goswami getting a little upset with us, Maturanath could just turn into a piece of furniture. He would go motionless. He wouldn't blink. He wouldn't breathe. He was just like there. He would do.
Frozen before the screens.
Yeah, I mean, he was.
Freeze.
And so it was, the first one who opened his big mouth was the one that's going to get the wrath. And so I happened to say, well, how was I supposed to know he was going to book him? Or I didn't know. I didn't tell him, whatever. So when I did that, he turned on me and just completely chewed me out for a long, long time. So I don't know how long. How long was it, Maturanath, Radhanath? Rupanuga, were you in on this as well?
It lasted till we got to Houston.
Yeah, I remember it seemed like it was like 2 hours that he blew me away. He was really upset.
Well, I kind of primed it because I had never heard of Auckland before. And I went in the room and had the nerve to ask him, "Where's Auckland?" And he let me know in no uncertain terms that was not a question you ask your spiritual master. And so that's kind of what got him primed. But I believe it's still up there behind the doorknob in the office. There's like a little wall ornament that has a piece of carpet on it. He was so angry when this actually took place in the bedroom. He was actually so angry when he left the bedroom into the office, he flung the door open. And when it did, the doorknob went into the wall. And Pashupati had to come along and put something there. And then because he looked at me and he says, "Now look what you've made me do." So,
Oh God, no end.
anyhow, yeah, that was then when we finally got to Houston, I hid. If you remember we had that meeting and I hid, and he asked where I was, and nobody knew where I was, and so anyhow, yeah,
I wanted to hide as well, but we were all packed. The van was packed and ready to go, and my luggage was in the van, and it was my van. And so I don't remember who was driving the van, but after a while, he decided, "All right, I'm going to Houston. These people are waiting for me. I'm leaving." And so we started all heading out to my van, which had been waiting for a couple of hours. And so he got in the van and he said, "You're not," he looked at me and he said, "You're not going. throw his suitcase out. So somebody threw my suitcase out and they started to move away. It was out there on that street that runs beside the temple there.
Gurley Avenue.
Now that you turn off of Gurley
Beacon.
Beacon, yeah. So the van moved a little bit down Beacon, the brake lights went on, the reverse lights come on, it backs up, and he yelled at me, "Get in!" So I got in the van and I tried to sit in such a way he was in the passenger seat in the front. And so I tried to sit directly behind him so he wouldn't see me, because it was a 4-hour trip to Houston. And I knew this wasn't over yet. So anyway, I sat down there and he said, "Move over there so I can see you." So I moved over behind the driver. And so we continued our conversation halfway to Houston. But along the way, it got much better. We started to talk about productive things rather than and I learned from that, you just don't stand up and defend. I mean, some people could argue, well, you had a point. How would you know? Well, when you're in charge, you're supposed to know. There isn't, you can't point the finger at someone else. And he learned that from Srila Prabhupada. Some people would say, well, that sounds like he was being too heavy with you. But just a year before, when he was with Srila Prabhupada in Vrindavan, Prabhupada is about to leave his body, but he wanted to see Krishna Balaram one last time. And so he told Tamal Krishna Maharaj to figure out, I want to go see the deities. And so Prabhupada was unable to walk at that time. So Srila Gurudev, he got together with some others and they devised a way, a stretcher that they could tie Prabhupada on, carry him into the temple room, and then stand the stretcher up so he could have darshan with the deities. And so that's what they did. And when they did that, Prabhupada was looking at Krishna Balaram and he happened to look at the hundi and it was all full of rupees. It was full of money. And some of them, you could actually reach in and pull money out. So no one had emptied the hundi. And so, in quite some time. And so Srila Prabhupada said to Goswami, he said, why has this hundi not been emptied? And Goswami Maharaj said, I don't know, Srila Prabhupada, I'll inquire. And that made Prabhupada very upset. And Prabhupada said, well, you're in charge. You should know. Why don't you know? So you inquire. What good will that do me? So Prabhupada completely heavied him out for a long, long time. So from that, he learned that you're accountable if you're the one that's in charge, even though during that time, Prabhupada would hardly let him get away from his side. Even if he needed to go use the bathroom, Prabhupada would say, where is he? When's he coming back? And so Prabhupada wouldn't let him go. And so he felt like, well, since I'm with you all the time, why should I be expected to know all of this? And so what he learned from it is that even though he couldn't get away from Srila Prabhupada, he could have sent someone to look in the temple room to see if everything is okay, so that there would be nothing that would disturb Srila Prabhupada when he got to the temple room, which for what could very well be his very last time. And so I learned from that in the future, just take it, all right, it was my fault. So sometimes something would go wrong. Somebody would do something, make some mistake. He would say, what happened here? And I would say, well, it's my fault. And usually he would say, "How's it your fault? You're so busy doing so many other things." And so it would work differently if you tried to own it. You know, it was my problem. And if you tried to do that, he would say, "No, no, you're too busy." Or sometimes I would say, "Well, I've got mush for brains. I've got a Kali Yuga brain," and he would say, "No, no, no, your brain is good. You're just uh, you're too busy." He would defend. If you tried to take ownership of the problem, he would defend you. But if you tried to defend it, he would blow you away. And so um, that was the methodology of training that he learned from Srila Prabhupada as well. So
Yeah.
I think we'll all remember that for eternity. It was a situation that we'll remember forever.
He made sure that you would.
Yeah, he did.
If it was important, he would really go on and on and on until you got it. Yeah. I think we have a question. Gopi Mataji, you want to ask your question?
Hare Krishna, yes, I do. Haribol
Are you able
devotees.
to turn your camera on?
I'm not, unfortunately.
Okay, so go ahead. What's your question and to whom?
Yes, so I joined, like, suddenly saw the link in the WhatsApp group and joined just when Mathuranath Prabhu was talking about how he saw Jivananda Prabhu not have meat on his food.
Yeah.
I had a question for all of them, for Jivananda Prabhu and Mathuranath Prabhu, Rupanuga Prabhu, and Ramnath Prabhu, that I've been working with Americans and doing mantra meditation with them the past few years, and many of them still, and many here in, like a few here in Texas. In California, it's really easy to have somebody turn vegan and vegetarian, and most of the people that come to me to do my bhakti-based programs are already conscious eaters. But here, the more I work here in Texas, there's so much heavy meat like steak, and I've never been around meat eaters. And I was just interesting that I joined at that time because just this morning I was asking Krishna, like, how does this happen? Like, how do we request them to stop eating meat? And how does that change happen? And then as soon as I joined, you were all talking about that. So I'm really curious as to like what the process is, Jivananda Prabhu, how you convinced them to stop eating meat, Rupanuga Prabhu and Mathuranath Prabhu and Radhanath Prabhu, like what change happened in your heart, like that caused that? I'm just quite curious and eager to know.
That is very nice, and I'm sure there's lots to roam here in the conversation. But if we let all the Prabhus give all their good tips, then this program is over, and I don't know how much it will be relating to Srila Gurudev. So maybe we can get some brief comments because she's obviously very involved and she needs to hear these things. Jivananda Prabhu, you'd like to start?
If I remember correctly, I think Rupanuga Prabhu and family were already vegetarians when we met. Is that correct, Rupanuga Prabhu?
Giant and I had become vegetarians in 1973. No, 71. So by the time we got our first book, it was 73, and by the time we met you, it was 77. So we had been vegetarians for, I guess, about 6 years at the time we met you.
Yeah.
And Gopi Gita Devi, the reason that we became vegetarian was that we were kind of hippie-ish and we're thinking about making a move back to the land, which we did for 4 years. And at that time, I was doing some reading, and I read not Krishna books, but other outside books about a couple moving to Maine and doing pretty much what I wanted to do. And they were talking about how life is simpler when you don't have animals around for anything. So that's how we became vegetarian.
Thank you. Beautiful.
Yeah, I think, it was a turnoff, and and Rupanuga and their families had not experienced vegetarianism. I think it's just basically the secret is if we give someone Krishna, if they see that you are committed, if you're convinced, once you're fully convinced, then it's much easier to convince those that you encounter. If you have doubts, then it'll be very difficult. But I think since you're such a committed devotee, that people will see that conviction. And once they realize your character and realize that, well, I like this person, I like associating with them, I like the way they live their life, then it'll be easy for your personal philosophy to affect their personal philosophy as they get to know you. They'll start, once they see your relationship with Guru and Krishna, they will admire that. And so that gives you a very good character when you're a devotee of Krishna, when you're trying to serve Guru and Krishna and all other living entities. People have a tendency to listen to you. It's not just some health thing that, well, I don't eat meat because I want to be healthier and more beautiful and more it's like they see there's a deeper philosophical reason why you're doing this. Then this means that they need to get to know you personally, and it worked for Maturanath and Radhanath, even though they got to know me. They got to know me personally, and they still became vegetarians.
Mother Gopi, it didn't come immediately. It took us a while. I have a funny story. When Jivananda first came to my house in Nashville, was going to stay with us, I told my wife that he's a vegetarian, and she said, "What do I cook for him?" And I said, "I don't know." I said, "Boil him some eggs." So she boiled him some eggs, and then he got there and he said, "Well, I don't eat eggs either." And we thought, "God, what do you eat?" And so anyway, it took us a while, but I think what really changed my perspective as far as eating meat was I was always a hunter, and I killed a lot of animals in my life. But when I found out that they actually had souls, that all these animals, the trees, everything has souls, and so I think that really had an effect on me personally. I had for years, killed so many different animals, and then to find out that they have souls, and then just being around Jivananda and Rupanuga, that would association is so important also. But I think it'll just take some time. And like Jivananda Prabhu said, once they, really get to know you and know a little bit more about the philosophy and everything, it'll come. But maybe not everyone, because it took us a little while.
Thank you so much, Prabhu. That's very, very helpful. Really, really appreciate it.
May I add something, which I think Srila Gurudev was also maximizing by the prasadam, the higher taste. We have to give people a higher taste. They like to enjoy food. They have a certain tradition how to enjoy food. But if we give them prasadam, then that can be delicious. And the whole Radhikali Chandji's restaurant, and later when
That's
Srila Gurudev.
That's a good point. Our relationship in the early days was basically centered around prasadam. They would come and we would have big feasts, and we would eat and eat and eat, chant and eat some more. But we, rather than just saying take meat away, we showed them a different method of cooking, and everybody ate it, and they thought, "Wow, this is good. This prasadam is very nice." And so
Secret weapon.
prasadam did it. That was the secret weapon. Yeah, they decided, hey, we can do this.
Thank you so much. Yeah, I send I send Kalachenji's boxes to them every 2 weeks. We'll see.
Wonderful.
Maybe
Wonderful.
all your blessings can help,
You-
a few of these.
You will
Thank you
be
for
successful. You just continue, Mother Gopi. You will be successful in this endeavor. I have no doubt.
okay. Thank you for
Yeah.
your blessing.
Thank you. Thank you for a good question. Practical. Yeah. I just want to say also those Thanksgiving dinners that Srila Gurudev organized later when he went to university. I mean, we can just imagine that many people there, even his teachers that he was so kind to and respected, etc., they might not have been vegetarians. But then he gave them like this whole reception and all the ladies there in Dallas cooking different things and making it really nice, making it enjoyable to take prasadam together, making it an experience. Then people want to do more of that, come to us or do it at home, make it delightful rather than, oh, it's a dogma, something like this. And there seems to be also a movie which is pretty, like eyes opening, called Cowspiracy, but you're probably already aware of that. Cowspiracy. That's also one way but that's more shocking, the shock way. Thank you. I hope that's enough for now. And sorry for cutting it a bit short, but this is so precious this time. So I want to go to the next question. It's Dharma. Dharma Prabhu Haribol. He says, Hare Krishna all, please accept my humble obeisances to His Grace Jivananda Prabhu. What did you learn from Tamal Krishna Goswami that has helped you be a guru and helping others? Thanks. Your servant Dharma. Sorry, I can't turn on my camera or talk from where I am right now. So what did you learn from Gurudev that has helped you to be a guru and helping others?
I learned early on from him. I could observe that he was very much involved on a one-to-one basis with the disciples, especially those disciples there in Dallas and in the Houston communities. He was very much involved in their day-to-day personal lives as much as he could be. He was very interested. It wasn't like, he gives you initiation and then away you go. You're somewhere else, and he's somewhere else. It was the personal relationship that he developed with his disciples. He was like one of their family. And so I learned early on, I guess it wasn't something that I thought, well, maybe I'll give this a shot. I mean, when somebody teaches you how to do something, that's just the way you do it. So I guess I learned that from him, the way he became personally involved with, whenever possible, he would be very personally involved with the lives of his disciples. Now, there are many people in different parts of the world who didn't get that, but he would have given that to everybody if it had been possible. He was very interested in their personal lives and their development of Krishna consciousness.
In case you wanted one.
Basically, that's the answer I have.
Did that surprise you in the beginning, Prabhu, to see that? Like how
No.
close he was with everybody?
No, I wasn't. I mean, it's just him. It's just the way he was,
Yeah. Also with Prabhupada and with his co-brothers, he was already like that, right? He was always very close.
This
On
is the
top
way
of things.
Prabhupada was with his disciples in the earlier days. At some point, Prabhupada he made so many devotees, so there were so many thousands, and they were all over the world, and it was very difficult for him to get to know on a first time basis, or to know everybody on a personal basis. But in the earlier days, that's exactly the way he did it. I can remember having discussions with Srila Gurudev about Srila Prabhupada and his dealings with the devotees, his disciples, in the earlier days. Mother Malati, I've had discussions with her about that, and she said the same thing. In the earlier days, Prabhupada was just part of everybody's family.
Mm.
So he learned that from Prabhupada. It's just the way he was.
Mother Kunti, she has written a comment. Kunti, you want to speak it into in the mic or just talk about what you wrote? Nice to see you.
Hare Krishna, Queen Kunti.
You want to unmute or you'd rather have me read it? Yeah, she's unmuting.
No, you
Go
can
ahead.
you can read it, and I'm just grateful to be here, and I'm sorry I'm so late. I really had a lot going on tonight, but yeah,
Thanks
no,
for
Rati Manjari, you go ahead and read.
All right. She wrote, Hare Krishna Jivananda Prabhu, thank you for being with us and sharing your experiences with Srila Gurudev. After one Thanksgiving lunch at Sri Radhakalachandji Dham in 1996, he asked me to deliver the feast to you. I'm remembering how you felt very touched by this. Do you remember it now? It's a long time ago.
I do, vaguely. It was a long time ago. It's hard for me
Yeah.
to remember. But yeah, I do remember you had an entire feast. I don't remember how I got it from you, though.
But she does.
I drove it over.
Oh,
You were living on, I think, near Honeycutt,
yeah,
off of Samuel.
yeah.
Yeah, and I drove it over. I think you were in Bonapros stage at that point.
Wow.
Probably. Let's see.
Yeah.
I don't know. Things are
Yeah.
a little far when you go back so many years.
Yeah. Yeah, I remember. Thank you so much.
But this
Thank you.
sounds like Srila Gurudev, very personal with cares and gifts and prasadam and yeah, very nice, huh? Especially to the God brothers, always inviting persons with prasadam. And
I was Food for Life director at that time in
oh,
Dallas. So he said, okay, Food for Life director, come over here. And he said, I want you to make this person, that person, and first go visit Jivananda. He made sure that you were first on the list. Yep. So
wonderful.
that's how I got picked. Jai.
Thank you. Such a nice anecdote, nice pasta. We were all seeing Krishna Kripa Prabhu. He is, of course, in Houston, and there's also another Grhastha community which came after Dallas, as I've understood. I don't know, Krishna Kripa, you're offline now, kind of not invisible. Would you like to contribute something? He's maybe in the car or something. Anyway, if you hear me and afterwards you can say something, we would appreciate it. Yes. Are there any other questions or someone maybe likes to share a nice anecdote or around the theme if or something else with Srila Gurudev? I'm sure there's like a mountain of stories right on this screen. I mean, it's like a volcano practically. If we open it up, we can't stop it.
Well, since you asked, I
Yeah.
was being very, very good about being quiet the whole time. But since you asked, I was actually on the street the day they all pulled up in their vehicles from Tennessee. It was like the buzz of the neighborhood. So I was really surprised when they were saying there was some animosity towards them, because I remember all the excitement. I was just up from Houston for a weekend or something, but it was quite funny to hear the later contemplations on who was who and why was how and all this stuff. But it was exciting when these four couples came from Tennessee to Dallas. I mean, the difference is Dallas was a really ready-made community. They had the school there and so many other things. Whereas in Houston, it was mostly a brahmachari ashram. So both our experiences were a bit different, but it was a miraculous event when these couples came. It was like the biggest deal that's ever happened there up to that point, because there were just so many devotees that were there, but and there was a good brahmachari contingency there also. They were doing a lot of the preaching, and different other times, different dynamics would happen between the grihastas and the brahmacharis. There was a class on the teachings of Prahlad Maharaj, verse number 2. I think it was chapter 7, where he just completely wiped out the entire grihasta community in one fell swoop. I mean, when you hear the class, you can hear this whoosh, 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 which was Pandava Vijay with the chamara fan, and he was sweating bullets while this class was going on. But overall, the whole community got behind anything Gurudev was into, and that's what made the magic that Texas became. It was a forgotten area as far as the rest of ISKCON, until he took it over, which is kind of how they gave it to him, I think.
Even with Radha Kalachandji there?
Yeah, but I mean, it was Texas. It didn't matter who else was there, no matter which part of the spiritual world they came from. It was still Texas. And there wasn't a lot happening in the South anyway. I mean, I was over in Alabama, Mississippi, and nobody heard anything about Krishna consciousness practically. Years later, we all started kind of meeting each other. We all left from the South and ended up in other places and found the devotees in those places. But for that matter, when the devotees that were in Houston, Tripurari and Keshabarti and a lot of them, Mahamuni, when they came through my hometown, we arrested them immediately. So yeah, not much energy put towards that. But they were the biggest deal that happened when these four couples came pulling up that day. I was actually out there on the street on Gurley Avenue when it happened. And it was just like,
what was so
wow.
big about it? I mean, they had cars, they had families, they had children perhaps already. What was so big? Like, because it was so different from your lifestyle?
No, not as much that, as much that everything was new and fresh, and Texas was kind of left behind. There wasn't a whole lot of effort being put towards it anyway. So to get all of a sudden, Gurudev brought in 4 new couples. It was a big deal.
I understand.
And they came all primed to help restructure the community itself. And to be honest, it was a big plus. And then, of course, more and more Grihastha couples were coming in both places, and etc. But yeah, that was big news that day.
Wow. And afterwards, right? When they started, rolling up their sleeves and actually, doing it with Gurudev's encouragement, no
Yeah,
doubt.
well, if I remember correctly, and maybe Jivananda can correct me too, that was when he first started putting Grihasthas in charge of the temples. Because Shubha Balas became the temple president up in Chicago. I forget what happened in St. Louis. That was still kind of a brahmachari outpost. In Janardhan, we had a brahmachari in Houston, but then I don't remember who was in charge of Dallas, but I remember it was Grihasthas. And he really pushed this idea of Grihasthas getting out and maintaining themselves, and then maintaining the temples. It didn't always work. I can remember years of collecting for the Grihasthas.
Oh, really?
Out there on the road. We never even saw the temples,
Oh my goodness, that's the other way around.
Yeah, there was a lot of that going on, but there were a few little episodes there that happened a little later also. But it all worked out. We all grew to love each other for sure. The Grihasthas, the brahmacharis. We never had any real strife between the two batches. But it was fun times, those early days. You know, and then the rest of the movement wasn't paying attention to us either, by the way.
Yeah.
You remember that, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
But you were building some things amongst yourselves, which are still lasting, still to
Yeah,
today, even
absolutely.
still building. So
Absolutely. It was brand new and wonderful, and it set an example for the rest of the movement, to be honest, because he really made things happen.
And at the heart of it, can I say can I state that was Srila Gurudev's vision? That
Sure.
made things, that he kept putting energy into it and people and, caring about everybody. I remember who said that. Maybe I said it already here. It's one of the devotees in Dallas also, that he said, I'm in anxiety if I just see you cross the street. I'm already worried about you. Like so much worried about so many people, how he could do that, with his, it's his sensitive nature, But yeah, it
Well,
was to care largely for a large group of people deeply.
yeah, and I think the first place he really did it was Chicago, because we were up there doing Sankirtan. And we used to travel in vans. So in the summertime we'd travel up north, in the wintertime we'd travel in the south. But I think it was originally in Chicago that he put, I think, Subal Balas in charge, and man, he got so much flack for that. Like, what are you putting Grhasthas in charge of Grhasthas? Well, nothing's going to happen.
Wow.
But he was way ahead of the curve, as always. We came to know and love Srila Gurudev for that purpose. He was always way ahead and willing to stick his neck out. And well, if Jivananda can probably confirm this, stick our necks out too. He was okay with that too.
What you call nowadays, he was a disruptor, Gurudev. Is that right?
No, he was a visionary.
Visionary.
He was
a
simply a
visionary.
visionary, and it takes general populace a long time to catch up with the visionary.
Jivananda Prabhu, you were saying?
Well, that's a correct statement. He was visionary. He could see this. This is the way he saw our movement developing, and he was committed to it. And he was right. The entire world followed. At one time, this independent Grihasta concept did not exist in our movement. And then at one time it did, and now spread across the entire world.
Yeah.
So, I guess it seems like an understatement to call him a visionary. That's what he was, but that's pretty much an understatement. Genius, but a visionary.
Yeah.
Gifted, empowered.
Yeah, and well trained as well.
Yeah.
He could see it. I remember once asking him about like how he cared, how he did, or complimenting him or something, glorifying him for how he took care of his disciples, and I said, can I call you a spiritual father? Is that correct? I mean, I like it, but is that correct? And he said, yes, that's what Srila Prabhupada also did. I'm doing it as I saw Srila Prabhupada do. That's how I do it. I don't know any other way to do it, he said. So that was nice. We have another comment. First, actually, but I'll reverse them. This Kunti says, "Oh my goodness, there was zero animosity about our Tennessee householders. The brahmacharis were a bit shocked seeing so many affluent householders." During one class at a certain point, it was 1979 or 1980, and Gurudev looked around at the 50 or more brahmacharis and said, "One day, most of you men will all be householders." That was a huge reality check. That was like probably a big shock to the Orange crew. Yes. And here is, let's see, here, Urjeshwari She's saying, Hare Krishna, everyone. How did the Matajis manage their family with just $15? And Kunti quickly has already responded. Matajis looked for bargains and shared with one another. I can remember living on a very tight budget because allowances were what they were called. You had to turn in receipts for every cent. We used cloth diapers, cheap disposable ones, and bought pure cotton clothing at thrift stores.
Now to the temples, credit here, everyone could have their meals at the temple too. This was before the restaurant was even there in Dallas and etc. So everybody ate communically every morning and lunch.
Mhm.
So that was part of it also, and the temple was paying the bills, but you had to pay extra if you wanted air conditioning. And in Texas and Dallas particularly, yeah, you'd pay extra. We charged $100 more per month for air conditioning.
You need to get on it.
And maybe those tight allowances also inspired people to think, okay, well, I got to make some more money, and what can I do?
It helped.
Yeah.
Anyway, I won't be off the phone call, but I have to leave the vocal side of it, so I'll just be listening for a little while. Okay.
Sure. Thank you so much. Thanks. Let's see, we've got another comment. Of course, we're already over time. I think we have to start winding up. No, there's no other comments. Okay. No, yeah. Yes, he says, Kunti. Our meals were mainly coming from the temple. Krishna Kripa Prabhu is correct. Yes. All right. So, in the interest of the schedule, this program is supposed to be 1.5 hours. So I think we're already, where are we now with the time zones? It's 1.5 hour and 15 minutes, right? Yeah. So we're over time. Of course, actually, I don't think we really want to stop. So we can start winding down, right? Because we're just scratching the surface, I think. And I'm just, I'm so happy that all the senior and Grhastha couples, not all, but some of them, have actually come and shown themselves or spoken. It's very, very kind and very endearing. And another, I call it proof of your loyalty to Srila Gurudev and to the community, to each other. So it's so beautiful when Krishna consciousness is experienced among friends, isn't it? I mean, Krishna is wonderful, but if you have friends that think Krishna is wonderful, then everything becomes triple, quadruple wonderful. So that's what I think is also to Gopi Mata. What's also very attractive, food, music, or everything. When people are happy together, then that becomes what is, making us also want to be with them and do like them. The happiness is all attractive. That's also there. Okay, so is there anyone, maybe Jivananda Prabhu, you have, like I asked you before we got online, right? Maybe you want to share about your friendship with Krishna Maharaj, but we haven't really gotten to that. Is there anything like a dear memory or a realization you would like to share with us?
One that kind of comes to mind is I remember sometimes we would be sitting and watching the world go on around us. People are doing this and that and going here and there. We would be sitting, observing, and just chatting. And occasionally he would say, or I would say, sometimes it would be him, sometimes it would be me, that, someday we're just going to be old men in rocking chairs. We're going to be sitting here and all these people are going to be doing all of this and we're not going to have anything to do. And so that went on for years. And then I believe it was in 1996, we were in, he had a room and we went to for Prabhupada's 100th centennial
Centennial. Yeah.
in Los Angeles. And he was in a hotel room, I believe, in Venice Beach or somewhere there nearby. And so we were in his hotel room and talking about different things that were going on and who's doing this and who's doing that. And I said, the kind of thing, the same thing that we used to say. One of us would say it or the other one would say it. I said, yeah, someday we're just going to be old men in rocking chairs sitting here watching the world go on. And it was kind of shocking. He reached over and he put his hand on my hand and he said, Jivananda, we're not going to grow old together. That's not going to happen. We're not going to end up old men in rocking chairs. And, I was so shocked I didn't know what to say, But I could tell that he actually, his foresight was that Krishna had let him know, I guess, that, you're, in a few years, you're going to be coming home. So he started turning that conversation around. He said, all of the rest of you are going to have to be, you're going to have to grow up. You're going to have to take over and you're going to have to manage things and make things go on. And I couldn't think of anything to say. And I said, is there anything in particular that you, I was shocked. I didn't really know how to react. I said, is there any particular instruction you have for me? And he patted my hand and he said, yes, become a shelter.
Mm.
And then he changed the subject, and that's all he would never let me visit it again. Later on, I tried to reopen the conversation, but he would have none of it. And I think there were some other folks, some other disciples in the room that overheard that conversation. I think Maturanath was there. I think Mahahari might have been there.
Yeah.
I'm not sure if Mahahari was there. I don't remember who all was there. But I do remember that. And in hindsight, it was as if he had got the clue that, no, I'm going to leave early. You guys are going to have to take this and carry it home. So that was his attitude. So
Wow.
I can leave
Maturanath
you.
Prabhu, you remember that? You were there?
Yeah, it was myself, Arjun Krishna, and Mahahari. And I remember Srila Gurudev telling us that I'm not going to always be here to hold your hand. So you guys are going to have to grow up and take responsibility. So yeah, I definitely remember that.
Yeah.
And did you feel also that that could be something like a general thing that a parent would say, come on, you got to do it yourself now. But did you feel that there was some foresight in that as well?
I did not at the time, but as I thought about it and time went on, then I did start thinking that way. Maybe he was telling us something that he already knew and that we know that what was coming in the future. So, yes.
Wow. And that's interesting because thank you very much, Jivananda Prabhu, for sharing. That is a very beautiful.
I
Yeah.
took it as a direct communication, not as a hint. Because he just, we had that thought that we shared off and on, and hey, we're just going to be old men someday together. And he told me, no, it's not going to end that way.
But before, was it like a kind of a joke, or a way to kind of decompress? Because sometimes you have to worry about so many people doing so many things. You think, what, when I'm old.
It was like that, a decompression. Gee whiz, someday we're just going to be old men in rocking chairs. We're not going to have to worry with any of this.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I was kind of shocked by it. I didn't really analyze it for a long time, but as time went by, I realized though that he could actually see. He knew.
And
That's I really think so.
It ties in with Dharma Prabhu's question, like what did you learn from Tamal Krishna Goswami in terms of becoming a guru? So when he told you become a shelter, did that also kind of guide you, if you want to say, towards taking
did.
the responsibility?
It did.
Yeah.
It certainly did. It was a conversation that I never forgot.
Mm.
And with my disciples, when they asked me, is there any particular um, service, anything in particular that, instruction that you'd like to give me? Uh, the most common thing I say is yes, become a shelter.
Wow.
You spend so many years taking shelter. At some
Mhm.
point, you have to start giving shelter. You see, if you're accepting shelter, then you should distribute it. You should give it whatever you can. So, yeah, it left a permanent mark on me.
So beautiful. Thank you. That should be a t-shirt right there. Yeah, it's a lyric. Wow. I'm so happy to be with all of you. It's so nice. My friend, when she sees me on these programs, she says, you look younger. And I see it too. I just get younger just by being with my God family. It's just so nice. Thank you so much. There's Nityananda Prabhu.
One of the things I wanted to say, I was listening, I'm in listening mode. I wasn't able to stay online like that. But anyway,
Okay.
one of the things I wanted to say about, when you asked that question, that with this independent Grihastha initiative, what does that say about, all the people who did it? And in this case, you asked about Gurudev. And I was thinking to myself that one of the things that Gurudev exemplified was that he understood the spirit of his master's life and teachings. He understood the spirit of what Srila Prabhupada wanted. And we often say in our philosophy that the first class disciple is one who can understand the spirit of the spiritual master's instructions, his life, his teachings, like that, right? And Srila Gurudev exemplified that. He took this one point and turned it into a worldwide movement, and that's what Prabhupada wanted. He wanted a Grihastha movement. Actually, Prabhupada at one time said that he didn't want the congregation to support the movement. He wanted the Grihasthas to support the movement, because then the movement would maintain purity. Because once you bring the congregation in congregation, you have all sorts of people, right? You have, impersonalists, you have personalists, you have people who are Hindu, non-Hindu, this, that, and the other, and all these controversies turn up. And they really always emanate from the congregation. Whereas Grihasthas are committed, they're very committed to Srila Prabhupada's mission. And they're the ones who push this forward. And Gurudev actually can be, with Jivananda Prabhu and of course our three wonderful God brothers and the God sisters, for actually starting this off in Dallas. And I mean, of all places, Dallas started as the place where the Gurukul happened. It's also the place where the Grhastha movement started, really, from Dallas. And Prabhupada chose Dallas to be the place where this would start. And so I think that that was something, the spirit itself. And I think we should all learn from that, because often this question is asked, what do you mean when you say the spirit of the spiritual master's instruction, And right now, as Jivananda Prabhu is a spiritual master, now I think, he probably can explain to us what he thinks is the spirit of a spiritual master's instruction relative to the disciple. Jivananda Prabhu, would you like to say something about that?
Yeah, yeah, we always use the term the Prabhupada's mood.
Yes.
The spirit of the spiritual master is the mood of the spiritual master. In other words, what is his desire? What's driving the guru? What is his mission? And so Srila Gurudev was fully aligned with Srila Prabhupada, fully surrendered, fully sold out. And he fully understood the mood of Srila Prabhupada, meaning that what is his every desire? Not that, well, Prabhupada had this idea and I think I can improve on it. No, this was Prabhupada's idea. This was Prabhupada's mood. This is the way Prabhupada wanted things to come down.
Yes.
So, yeah, that's the way that I'm used to hearing it described. The mood of the spiritual master, joining in that mood. It's like Lord Jesus Christ said, "When you've seen me, you've seen the Father." Now, some people think, well, that
Nice.
means that I'm God. When you see me, you've seen God. Well, understanding him as a guru, you understand that the disciple should feel that way. When you see me, you see your guru, my guru, because his words are my words, his desires are my desires, his mission is my mission. I am not separate in any way whatsoever from him. We're completely joined eternally. And so that's the way he was. And, that's the way uh, Srila Prabhupada taught us. Srila Prabhupada was exemplary in that himself. He lived for the mood of his spiritual master. That was his only reason for living, is carrying out the desires of his spiritual master.
And
So,
that spirit actually is that you understand your spiritual master's instruction even before he expresses it, right? Because you
right,
understand the mood. You don't wait for him to tell you. You already know what he wants, and you just go out and do it because you're always wanting to please the spiritual master in that way.
exactly.
Wonderful.
Exactly.
Thank you.
Nice. Thanks for becoming visible again, Nityananda.
Thank you.
Yeah. So, yeah, I think in terms of what do you think? We should round off this. Maybe we have some more small things because we want to, of course, continue to hear about Srila Gurudev and to meet up even in cyberspace.
Yes.
So we want to thank Jivananda Prabhu especially for coming on online and being so merciful and sharing also personal things. And very encouraging also that you are all still friends in so many decades. It's really the spiritual world, right? Where everyone together cooperates to serve Krishna and Srimati Radharani. So it is a beautiful representation, I feel. And also, of course, Dallas, the temple room. I mean, from what you have expressed, so much has grown because of this cooperation. And of course, Srila Gurudev's guidance and vision and the mercy of the deities. But such a beautiful temple has emerged, with it's just it's amazing. I look forward. I'm going to come again. I want to come and visit the Vyasa Puja festival this summer, and I hope many others will too, because we have to see that. We have sometimes to be in front of Shri Radha Kalachandji in that it's like a womb a little bit, like a chamber rather, where you meet God. Anyway, Hare Krishna, Rati Manjari, yeah. Okay, so Dallas Kijai, Radha
We're
Kalachandji.
happy you're coming, by the way. We're just so very happy that you're coming.
Yeah, I'm being drawn. I just have to surrender my Lakshmi for the ticket.
Not
But
easy.
I have to come. I have to be there. Yeah, I want to. That's why also this year, we're trying every month to have a program centered around Srila Gurudev, certain aspects. It's not been easy with all the busyness of everybody to stitch together like a coherent time and place and speaker. But yeah, I really feel that Srila Gurudev loves these things because I know he would write me. I took care of his state ministry by his mercy for like 10 years almost. And he would write me, I'm wondering if my disciples are even listening to my lectures, like he was in anxiety. He called this the word anxiety. I'm in anxiety that because when I come, then they're there. But what about the rest of the year? Do they even hear me? So he wanted me to reach out to everyone so that they could all benefit. We could all benefit from his association. And this happens the most easy in the community of devotees, God family. So I want to encourage everyone. And if you like these programs, please come again and again. And also spread the word because we are now in the Zoom. It's a relatively small group. so we could have more live viewers. It's just, adding to the melange of the TKG nectar, right? Nityananda Prabhu, what do you think?
Yes, that's true. And tomorrow we have this program at 8:30 in the morning again.
Yeah, can you speak about that?
That's Ladini Shakti Prabhu will be on that call. That call is a call of just Gurudev nectar. It's memories of Gurudev that we started at the time when we had his 50th. When we had one of his very big anniversaries, and then we started 75th, yeah.
Yeah.
And then we started from then, and it's continuing. So Mother Shabia and Ujeshwari Prabhu lead that program very nicely. So tomorrow that's going to happen at 8:30. So please do join us again tomorrow at 8:30, which is like 11 and a half hours from now. So it's the next one. It's good to know that we're doing these many programs, because that shows that we really love Gurudev. That's our expression of love for Gurudev. He'd be very happy to know that we're doing things like this. But go ahead, sir. You were going to say something.
I just want to ask Ananya Mataji, if you don't mind, because she's like a next generation follower of Srila Gurudev. How do you like this program? Are you there still? It's a totally different time zone in India.
Yeah.
Ananya?
We have Siddharth Prabhu on, but I don't know if we have.
Is he there? He's also there. Yes, Siddharth Prabhu. Would you like to speak a few words? You don't have to turn on your camera if you don't want to, but just how are you experiencing this stories about His Holiness Tamal Krishna Goswami from another era? I hope they dare to speak. They're very shy.
Yeah.
Hey, they're hearing, and he's posting every day so many things about the Tamal Krishna Goswami. So yeah, it's Gurudev's glories are reverberating through the generations, and that's why we need to keep doing these things. And we want to, but we also need to for posterity, as you always say, Nityananda Prabhu, right?
Yeah, thank you very much.
Can we mention the Fiji festival also? Maybe
Yes.
Bhaja Govinda Prabhu? Are you available?
I think he might have checked out as well.
He's there, but he's not visible.
Oh.
Anyway, in the 80th Vyasa Puja, maybe you can speak, Nityananda Prabhu, you are from there.
Yeah.
There's just do a little promotion.
Yeah, this is an annual event. Oh, sorry, go ahead.
I have to sign off.
Yes, thank you very much, Prabhu. We
Thank
really
you.
appreciate you coming
Thank
on.
you. It was wonderful to see all of you and to visit with you again. And I'm looking forward to the next time when we can have some of your association again. I hope to come to Dallas sometime, maybe in May. I'm hoping to come to Dallas for a few days.
Wonderful.
On my way to Sadhu Sangha. So I'm going to do it. Let's just see what Krishna's plan is. So
thank you. Thank you.
Bye.
Thank you
Thank
so
you
very much.
Jai.
you.
Hare Krishna Prabhu.
all glories to Srila Prabhupada and all glories to
Glories.
Srila Krishna Goswami.
All glories to you. All glories to you. Thank you.
Thank you for your association. Hare Krishna.
Yes.
Yes.
So the Fiji Festival is once a year, and this year it's happening at the time of the July 4th event in Dallas, which is the US's Independence Day. So it's happening at the same time and there they have it as a 5-day festival, as I understand. So everybody's welcome to go to Fiji, and it's a wonderful place. Food is amazing, the devotees are amazing, and you won't regret it. It's just that it's in the south, way down in the south, so sometimes it takes a long flight to get there. But other than that, everything else is first class. Okay.
Jai. And do we have any special days? Are there people having their birthday, or did somebody maybe pass, or is there someone you want us to pray for? Then you please let us know, like now, because we also want to, this is Dhruva Maharaj Prabhu's suggestion, that we also get to know each other a little bit more and pray for each other, because we're far away from each other. So I don't know if has been any special date or someone passing, or no?
Just the events of this world, everyone should be praying for one another at these times. Not safe times, and so that's for sure.
For sure. All right, so then maybe we can sign
know.
off. Mother
Yes.
Kunti, she also had to go. Hare Krishna, dear Jivananda, Prabhu, God brothers, God sisters, please accept my humble obeisances. Have to go now. Thank you for your pure loving association. All glories to Srila Prabhupada, Srila Gurudev, Jivananda Prabhu, and all of you.
Thank you.
Let
Yeah.
us offer our respectful obeisances to all the Vaishnava devotees of the Lord, just like desire trees can fulfill the desires of everyone, or full of compassion for the conditioned souls. Jai.
Vancha kalpa turvascha kripasindhu bevacha patitanam pavanebhyo Vaishnava.
Vaishnavi Namo Namaha Nanta Koti Vaishnava Vrinda Ki Jai. Haribol.
Jai.
Thank you very much. See
Hare
you hopefully tomorrow or soon. Shri
Hare
Gurudev Ki Jai.
Jai. Hare Krishna.